Remember, strategy 1 was the taxable estate credit shelter trust. Strategy 2 was the asset protection supplemental needs trust, the discretionary trust that Medicaid doesn't count. Great question, because this strategy number 2, asset protection supplemental needs trust, discretionary trust, Medicaid doesn't count, that actually is a tax planning trust as well, because the deceased spouse's 2.193 million credit exclusion is preserved by using that second type of trust, the asset protection trust. So it does serve as a tax planning trust as well. Now, there's a couple of differences between these trusts. When we're talking about just tax planning, avoiding Washington's estate tax, that's all we're talking about. We're usually talking about that tax planning trust and not the asset protection type of Medicaid trust. Why is that? Well, with this first kind of trust, this tax planning trust only, it's a standards trust, and the surviving spouse can serve as their own trustee, which means they get to be in charge of the money. They got to make sure that if they want something from this trust, they can write their own check. And upon their death, this trust usually goes wherever the first spouse said they want it to go. But the difference is the surviving spouse has control over that tax planning trust. Contrast that to the asset protection supplemental needs trust, that Medicaid discretionary trust. The surviving spouse cannot be the trustee. They cannot be in control of the money. The state says if they're in control of that money, they've got way too much control over it, and the state won't exclude that, the assets in that trust, from being counted for Medicaid purposes. So it defeats the purpose. The idea about it was all this money in the trust is there available for the spouse. They simply can't be their own trustee. So it's an issue of control and protection. The more control, the less protection. But even with this, where the surviving spouse can't be the trustee, maximum protection, including tax protection, there will not be an estate tax imposed upon that when the surviving spouse dies from the assets in that trust. So yes, the strategies can be combined. Oh, and one other thing that I want to mention, there is the ability to say this first tax planning trust, we didn't know that there was going to be any problems with long-term care in the future. It can spring into being the other type of trust, the trust that Medicaid allows. But why does it spring? Well, the person was in great shape, surviving spouse, and I don't know, they had a stroke or they were in a car accident or something happens where they need asset protection now, not just against estate taxes, but for long-term care costs. That trust can convert into the asset protection discretionary trust. Obviously, surviving spouse can't be the trustee. There is the ability to spring into the other type of trust.